take thy death, that I may receive thee again in mercy with thy brothers. While she was yet speaking these words, the young man said, Whom wait ye for? I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandments of the law that was given unto our fathers by Moses. And thou, that hast been the author of all mischief against the Hebrews.
Against who?
Against the Hebrews.
You like Darren Wilson and them? Right? The NYPD? Right? Bringing all this mischief against the Hebrews. Come on.
Shall not escape the hands of God.
No, you won't. Hashtag Darren Wilson. No, you won't. You won't escape the hands of God. Believe that. The Lord said, you can forget. Let all y'all forget. Forget about slavery. Just forget. The scriptures say, can a mother forget her suckling child? That she should not have compassion on the fruit of her womb. They may forget. I'll never forget what happened to you. So anytime somebody try to get you on that, forget about slavery. Forget about what happened. That's the spirit of a coon. What you mean? The Bible say don't forget. The Bible can tell you remember the former days. Remember what happened. Bring it to mind so you can understand and know why you're in this condition. What you mean forget? They don't forget the Holocaust. They didn't forget Bin Laden, did they? Well, was that forgotten and swept under the rug? Did they start praying that God blessed Bin Laden and his family? No, it's war. What you mean? All right, let's read, brother.
For we suffer because of our sins.
You see that? Because we went off. Stop giving these heathens so much power. They wouldn't even have the power to do that had we not went off. So let's get our house together. Once you stop focusing so much on them and get ourselves together, you'll watch them lose power. They'll be like, dang, these niggas ain't showing to spend nothing. No money on Black Friday, no Christmas. We losing all our power because you hitting them in their God, which is their money. You hitting them where it hurt. You get away, the best way to watch them come down is to stop doing what they're doing. Watch them fall. They lose power right there. They gang will stay in power because you're steady promoting their system. And their gods and their way of life. Once the Negro get away, like the Lord say, separate. The Lord didn't say integrate, He said separate. And don't touch the unclean thing. Then I'll receive you. Once we get that in our mind and look out for each other, you'll see. You'll watch them fall. Come on, brother.
And though the living Lord be angry with us a little while for our chastening and correction, yet shall we be at one again with His servants. But thou, O godless man, and of all other most wicked, be not lifted up without a cause, nor puffed up with uncertain hopes, lifting up thy hand against the servants of God.
Now we thinking you did this on your own accord, or as if you powerful. These brothers are telling me and that the man is about to put them to death. Telling them right in his face, man, you got to answer for killing us. Let's read, brother.
But thou hast not yet escaped the judgment of Almighty God, who seeth all things. For our brethren, who now have suffered a short pain, are dead under God's covenant of everlasting life. But thou, through thy judgment of God, shall receive just punishment for thy pride.
See what he's telling him on death row? You're going to be punished for your pride. Let's read, brother.
But I, as my brethren, offer up my body and life for the laws of our fathers, beseeching God that He would speedily be merciful unto our nation, and that thou by torments and plagues mayest confess that He alone is God.
Let's read.
And that in me and my brethren the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon all our nations, may cease. Then the king, being in a rage, handled him worse than all the rest.
You see that he handled the baby boy worse than everybody. Come on.
And took it grievously that he was mocked. So this man died undefiled and put his whole trust in the Lord. Last of all, after the sons, the mother died. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the idolatrous feast.
Or a pagan feast like the one that people finna partake in less than 20 days. Come on, brother.
and extreme torture.
All right, let's go over to 1 Maccabees chapter 2. Let's get into the history. We got the torture. Now we're going to get into the brothers that stood up. The brothers that stood up and went against this heathen. Let's get it. 1 Maccabees, the second chapter. Let's get to Matthias and his sons. Because even though we had brothers that sold out, it was a faction of brothers that was like, look, man, we gonna fight for this. Y'all not finna just come in here and just do us the way we did. Oh, y'all doing us, put it that way. And had not these brothers stood up, the Messiah who came in the flesh 150 years later would have never had a temple to teach in. This temple, the temple that he was in the New Testament, was dedicated to 150, 160 years before he even was born. Because these brothers stood up and fought against these Greeks. All right, 1 Maccabees 2. Start around verse 1, my brother.
1 Maccabees 2, verse 1. In those days arose Matthias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Joab.
So he was a priest. All right, come on.
From Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modi. And he had 5 sons.
How many sons?
5 sons. Joanna, called Caddis, Simon, called Thassi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus,
Let's get it.
Eleazar, called Avrin, and Jonathan, whose surname was Alpha.
So a surname is like a nickname, you know, and that's how I show you we these people again. We all got nicknames, other names. You feel me?
5, 6 of them.
So we always had surnames or nicknames. This is what it is. All right, come on, brother.
And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem,
right,
he said, "Woe is me!"
You see what the priest said? He seen all this wickedness going down, and he said, "Woe is me!" Come on, brother.
Wherefore was I going to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, where it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers.
He said, why did I live to see all this madness? Woe is me. Come on, brother.
Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom, and gotten of her spoils? All of her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman, she has become a bond slave.
See that? We were once free, now we slaves. That's a recurring history with Israel. You can't get around it. One of the main identifying factors is we were bonded, slaves, sold on auction blocks. Can't get around it. Come on, brother.
And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?
We read about some of the Gentiles, what they was doing in their temple. They was having orgies, having their way with harlots, sacrificing swine's flesh, put the altar of Jupiter, Olympus up in the temple of God. Totally profane the temple of the living God. All right, come on, brother.
Then Matthias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sore. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city molded to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Matthias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers, and said to Matthias on this wise, Thou art a ruler, and an honorable, and a great man in this city, instructed with sons and brethren.
This is what the king officer telling him. Basically puffing him up. Come on, brother.
Now, therefore, come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. Yeah, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain as at Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
See, that's always something. You know what I'm saying? You can be rich around your mind, your wildest dreams or imagination. Just sell out. Come on, brother.
Then Matthias answered and spake with a loud voice.
What kind of voice?
A loud voice.
Come on.
Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments.
Come on.
Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
That's the mindset we got to be in, y'all. Right? I don't care if the whole world flip and start doing something different. Right? He said, me and my sons is going to serve the God of our fathers. Just like Joshua 24:15. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. Alright, let's read, brother.
Yahweh God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinance.
He said, God forbid that we sell out. Let's read.
We will not hearken to the king's word.
Uh-oh, is this Matthias rebelling? Not obeying the laws of the land? We will not hearken to the king's words. Why? Because what the king was asking was violations against Matthias' God. No deal. It ain't no deal. Don't show no deal. No deal. Alright, let's read, brother.
To go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left.
Come on.
Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice unto altar, which was at Moab, according to the king's command.
You got him saying, look, me and my sons ain't selling out. Now, why he's saying this, here come a bootlegger. Here comes one of his people that sold out. And he finna sacrifice on this altar that the king put up. Let's read, brother. Which thing when Matthias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to shew his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. See what he did? He put that boy to death for that. Matthias. When he put the sellout bootlegger to death for that. Right? Today he said, oh brother, that was wrong. Let's read. Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time. And the altar he pulled down. Matthias was right.
What do they say, thou shalt not kill, though?
Yeah, thou shalt not kill. He was talking to Israel. Not to shed innocent blood, but there's a time to kill.
It's a time for war.
Time and war. Or say somebody can break it in your crib and come to rape your wives and your daughters. What you supposed to do? Sit back and twiddle your thumbs? God, please, bless him. No. The Bible tells you, defend the poor and needy. Rid them out the hand of the wicked. Psalms 82.
So if death end up coming up on the hands of the wicked, so be it.
Yeah. All right, let's get it, brother. And he pulled the altar down. Beat that. Come on, brother.
Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God Yahweh, like as Phinehas did unto Zomri, the son of Salem.
Y'all write down Numbers 25. Read like 1 through 12. Right after they kept that pagan feast, the Most High told Moses, hey, hang everybody that did it. They take their head and hang them up so they know how angry I am. Right after that, bro came cat walking in. Had him a little Moabite woman, you know, cat walking in. Brother got mad as a mother, man. Put that boy to death for that. You feel me? And that man who did that got a name in Israel. Number 25. But again, ain't nobody going to tell y'all to go get your guns out and start killing bootleggers. Don't be doing all that. You know what I'm saying? Understand judgment is coming. The Lord don't deal with the rebellions of Israel. We just going through the history and showing you that it wasn't wicked for Matthias to do that. It wasn't wicked for him no more than it was wicked for Moses to kill that Egyptian that was messing with his brother. That's right. I mean, he had to be prepared to be on the run and be a fugitive at that point, but the Lord was not mad at him for that. All right, let's read, brother. Read down to 28, and then we're going to jump over to chapter 7.
And Matthias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
Come on.
So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city.
All right, let's go to the next chapter, chapter 3. We're coming on up to the dedication. We're coming right on up. And you see why these brothers stood up and fought, because we've been reading the evils that these Greeks was doing to us, man. Not just them, even the bootlickers of our nation. When they align with them, they become heathen. They become uncircumcised to us. They become Gentiles to us at that point. Let's go to chapter 3. Brother, read 1 through 26 and jump down to 42. Chapter 3. We got it.
Verse
We're
1.
going to read 1 through 26 and then 42 through 60.
Chapter 3, verse 1.
Wrong, that chapter 2, 7 verses. All right, chapter 3, verse 1. Let's get it, brother.
Then his son Judas, called Maccabee, rose up in his stead, and all his brethren helped him.
What happened was Matthias ended up dying. So then who carried on the war? Who was the general of the army after that? His son, Judas Maccabee. Maccabee actually means hammer. That's what it means. Hammer. Come on, brother.
And so did all they that held with his father. And they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel.
See, they wasn't mad or messed up about it that they had to go to war. They fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel. These heathens are trying to extinct us like we're some animals or something. Let's read, brother.
So he got his people great honor.
What kind of honor?
Great
Because
honor.
he stood up and fought, he got his people great honor. Come on, brother.
And put on a breastplate as a giant.
Woo!
And girt his warlike harness about him. And he made battles, protecting a host with his sword.
Just like when Christ returned. What you think that's going to be about? Sword swinging, slow singing, flower breaking. Let's read.
In his axe, he was like a lion.
Woo!
And like a lion's whelp roaring for his prey.
Come on.
For he pursued the
I
wicked.
know he did what?
He pursued the wicked.
He even more ride. He ride more than us because he was chasing the wicked down. He more harder than us. We'll wait for him to bring to our door. Our forefather chasing them down.
For he pursued the wicked and sought them out and burnt up those that vexed his people.
See, he put them on fire. Just like our forefathers were set on fire for keeping Shabbat. In that cave, you see what you sowed, you got to reap now. Now they get put on fire. All right, let's read, brother.
Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him. And all the workers of iniquity were troubled because salvation prospered in his hand.
Out of salvation, and that's not talking about immortality. It's talking about dominion, rulership. You feel me? The Lord prospered him. So even his enemy was like, whoa, who is this brother? God must be with him. All right, let's read, brother.
He grieved also many kings and made Jacob glad with his acts. And his memorial is blessed forever.
So when everybody get the spirit of Memorial Day, they want to talk about all these soldiers, how about we open up our Bible and read about the great men in the Bible? Right. And how about we remember them? Starting with the top one we need to remember, which is Yahushua, Christ. And then on down, man, there's a lot of brothers in our history, man, that we don't even speak on, but we live in this beast and we watch them honor their souls. We watch them honor their history. Feel me? How about we remember the brothers that straight paved the way for us?
They President's days.
Right. Come on, brother.
Verse 8. Moreover, he went through the cities of Judah, destroying the ungodly out of them, and turning away wrath from Israel.
He even put the sword to the bootlickers. Because that's part of a revolution too. I know you don't want to hear it and it sounds harsh. Anybody, even amongst your own, that was in opposition to your program, get lined up in front of a firing squad. What you think Castro did when he took Cuba? Y'all read about the Cuban Revolution. You think him and Che Guevara just let everybody that was rebelling against them live? They lined up everybody that was against what they had going on and got them gone. What you think the Chinese did with their revolution? They kicked out all nations and killed all the bootlickers that were selling the Chinese out. And the Chinese shut their doors for 30 years. They emerged 30 years later as a world power. You see, that revolution is not velvet, it's not soft and fast. It get bloody. It do. It do. And that's why they talk about when Christ returned, blood will be up to the horse of Christ. Now his cloak will be dipped in blood. What you think that's about?
The head of the UN said that when we rise up in our nation, we rise up and protect our brothers. Those blacks ain't got nothing to do with us. That's what he said, the head of the UN. He said, our revolution, we brought our people together and came up with ideologies and stood and stuck by each other and helped the little ones out to become big. If the black people only did that, they could start their own revolution, but we don't have nothing to do with this Mike Brown thing. That's how they feel about it.
We at verse 9. And in essence, it's true. We need to help ourselves. Wait for the Lord to redeem us and come together like He told us. He said, gather yourselves together. Old nation not deserved. Right? You still trying to be an individual, and they kicking individuals off. They kicking us off.
And the longer we stay divided, the longer he's going to sit there and be like, okay, that's on y'all. When y'all get together and come to me on one accord, I'll wake on up and come down here and holler at y'all. Right. Until then, y'all going to be sleep, stammering like y'all lost. So when are we going to get up and rise and do what we need to do?
We at verse 9?
Verse 9.
Verse 9.
So that he was renowned unto the uttermost part of the earth, and he received unto him much as were ready to perish. And then Apollonius gathered the Gentiles together, and a great host out of Samaria, to fight against Israel. Which thing, when Judas perceived, he went forth to meet him. And so he smote and slew. Many also fell down slain, but the rest fled. Wherefore Judas took their spoil, and Apollonius sword also. And therewith he fought. And therewith he fought all his life long.
You see that? Come on.
Now when Sarah, the prince of the army of Syria, heard that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude and company of the faithful to go out with him to war, he said, I will get me a name and an honor in the kingdom. For I will go fight with Judas and them that are with him, who despise the king's commandment. So he made him ready to go up. And there went with him a mighty host of ungodly to help him, and to be avenged with the children of Israel. And when he came near to going up to Beth-Horon, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company, who, when they saw the host coming to meet him, said unto Judas, how shall we be able, being so few, to fight against so great multitude and so strong, seeing that we are ready to faint with fasting all this day?
Yeah, we was outnumbered, outflanked.
And home.
Fasting and all that. What was going on? How are we going to win this battle right here? See, some people start doubting. But remember, the Lord didn't always put to flight many with just a few. That's all through the Bible. I just read, brother.
Verse 18. Unto whom Judas answered, it is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few. And with the help, and with God of heaven, let me hear this again. And unto whom Judas answered, it is no hard matter for many to shut up in the hands of a few. It is not a hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few. And with God of heaven, it is all one, to deliver with great multitude or a small company.
That's flat out. Come on.
For the victory of battle standeth not in the multitude of the host.
Come on.
But strength coming from heaven.
Either we believe it or we don't. Numbers don't matter with the Lord.
Flat out.
Numbers don't matter with the Lord. You feel me? Our strength comes from heaven. And we ought to be praying the Lord cover us in the day of battle. Cover us. Protect us. All right, come on, bro. Verse 20.
They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us, and our wives, and children, and to spoil us.
21, but what?
But we fight for our lives and our laws.
You see what we stand up for? Yeah, you stand up for that. They come against us in much pride and iniquity to destroy us and our wives and children and spoil us.
Right.
You see why Jews and them was fighting? We got to stand up and fight at that point. If that's what it is, it's time to stand up and get it done.
That's right.
But we fight for our lives and our laws. Nehemiah, what you got, brother?
I was just saying, bro, you know, when we talk about that, how they honor their veterans, I don't know if most people pay attention. Veterans Day, November 11th, right? That's the same day they killed that time.
May 11th is
November 11th, 1831.
Yeah.
And that's the same day they mark as Veterans Day.
And they killed that term.
Yeah, but they don't want you to honor him.
Yeah.
They don't want a mindset like that to rise up.
Right. Verse 22. No, go down to 24, yeah.
Go down to 24.
Read down to 26, then we'll jump down to 42.
I'm going to start at 21 again.
Right.
But we fight for our lives and our laws. wherefore the Lord himself will overthrow them before our
You
face.
see what he was saying? He was telling them, he was exhorting the brothers. The Lord is going to overthrow these heathens before our face. All right, come on, brother.
And as for you, be ye not afraid of them.
Be what?
Be ye not afraid of them.
Like Christ said, fear not him who can destroy the body. All right, let's read.
Now as soon as he had left off speaking, he leapt suddenly upon them. And so Saran and his host was overthrown before him. And they pursued them from going down of Bethhoron unto the plain, whereof were slain about 800 men of them. And the residue fled unto the land of the Philistines. Then began the fear of Judas and his brethren, an exceedingly great dread, to fall upon the nations round about them, insomuch as his fame came unto the king, and all nations talked of the battles of Judah.
That's it. Jump down to verse 42. He was doing so much banging and the Lord was with him. Guess what? Now everybody talk. Right? Now everybody got to come to a table and talk about something. Because as long as they killing you, but you ain't putting them down on the other side, they ain't got to talk about nothing. Ain't nothing to talk about. But you see, Judas was hitting their head right back to where, guess what? We got to discuss this.
Re-strategize.
Who is this Judas Maccabee over in Judea? What is this? But as long as, you know what I'm saying, they killing us and ain't nobody dropping on the other side, dog, you're not going to get no sit down and no table and talk about something. What we got to talk about? I jump down to 42, my brother.
Verse 42.
Yeah.
Now when Judas and his brethren saw that miseries were multiplied, and that the forces did encamp themselves in their borders, for they knew how the king had given commandment to destroy the people and utterly abolish them, they said to one another, let us restore the decayed state of our people, and let us fight for our people and the sanctuary.
See, think about that. Why would that be in your mind today? You think today something was wrong with brothers standing up and fighting for righteousness. David said, oh, no, that's wrong. That's not of God. What is this feast we celebrate next week? What's that about? That's about brothers standing up and putting their neck on the line for the truth. And had they not did that, we wouldn't have no feast of dedication, and the Messiah wouldn't have had a temple to walk in and teach in when he came in the flesh. So what do we celebrate here? We celebrate how God put down our enemies. That's what that's about. But you look at they like, oh, that's wrong. Why do you think we celebrate Passover? Right. Ain't that about the Lord destroying the Egyptians and saving us? Yeah. Huh? So why are you in spirit like, that ain't right though? Is that the right spirit to be in? Did Moses pray for the Egyptians?
No.
Huh?
No.
Was Judas Maccabee praying for Antiochus Epiphanes?
No.
He was praying that God destroy him and have mercy on us. Feel me? So when it come out like that, that make you more of a threat than anybody going to burn down a nail trap or McDonald's. Right. You know what these brothers doing in the streets, yelling at tanks and trying to go set the neighborhood on fire don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing. All right, let's read, brother.
Verse 44.
Yeah.
Then was the congregation gathered together, that they may be ready for battle, and that they might pray and ask mercy and compassion.
See, how we going to war and y'all rapping little books and lyrics, but ain't nobody prayed and asked God to cover us in the day of battle. See, brothers knew then that, hey, if we're going to be victorious, we got to pray to God. Right. We knew our strength and our power came from heaven. And when we was in our prime, most of the nations knew it too.
Yes, sir. And the killer part about it, they know it now.
Yeah.
They know that's where our pride, that's where our heart is. That's where our strength is. So they're going to keep us from it as much as they can.
45.
Verse 45. Now Jerusalem lay void as a wilderness. There was none of her children that went in or out. The sanctuary was also trodden down, and aliens kept a stronghold.
That's like today.
The heathen had their habitation in that place. And joy was taken from Jacob, and the pipe with the harp ceased. Wherefore the Israelites assembled themselves together and came to Mizpah, over against Jerusalem. For in Mizpah was the place where they prayed aforetime in Israel. Then they fasted that day and put on their sackcloth.
See what they doing before they go to war? You got to pray, fast, and put on sackcloth. Don't be in your going out clothes. Put on your sackcloth, your rags. Come on, brother.
For they fasted that day, and put on sackcloth, and cast ashes upon their head,
Right.
and rent their clothes,
Come on.
and laid open the book of the law,
And they open up the Bible. We need the words of God out here while we're praying. Come on.
and laid open the book of the law, word